What up, and welcome back to SFL This Week, along with Mike St. Green. I am Cameron Irvine, and we are back in full force for tonight's Battle of Louisiana between Bossier City and Louisiana. But first, plenty to get to in week number 8. Mike, how'd the weekend treat you?
Well, in real life football was horrible. Sim football was horrible. At least happy Labor Day to everybody, Cameron. I'm rested, ready to go. I'm not running in from work late and all that stuff. I'm ready to go, man. Excited about another spectacular Monday night. But happy Labor Day to everyone. Hope everyone had a great day, filled with barbecue, fun, family, and all that other great stuff.
I know you were on the injury report late in your game this week in the fourth quarter. I heard that it was a bruised ego was the diagnosis. How are you? How you feeling, Mike?
Well, we're holding up a little better as the day night went on last night and the day today. But another tough loss for the Headhunters, and hey, the only thing we could do is regroup and try to bounce back and get ready for this stretch run.
What'd you do on this Labor Day? It was pretty nice weather outside. Would you just relax and hang out? Pretty
much relaxed all day. It was crazy, Cam, because down here in Houston, we really didn't plan for much because it was scheduled to be a washout all weekend long, and today was supposed to be the washout day, but it's been sunshiny and beautiful all day, so we just kind of lounged around on the patio, Cam, as we're enjoying that outside patio as much as we can since it's installed and put in.
I know here in Louisiana, Mike, that those Tigers, man, they just continue to disappoint in the opening game. And listen, Brian, it doesn't matter how much you bang on the table, it's still a loss, man. So
yeah.
And the Saints are pretty much hopeless. So yeah, it's not good spirits here in Louisiana. But with these two SFL teams, one of these teams is going to get to 500 tonight in a huge game because the South has been struggling over the next couple of weeks. This is a golden opportunity for one of these teams tonight to pick up a victory.
Cam, we saw the Battle of Texas last night. Now we're going to see the battle for the boot in Louisiana tonight. Alamo City moving over to Bossier, so that creates two teams in Louisiana in the South Division. This is going to be a huge game. Someone's going to get back to 500 tonight, and somebody's going to be a couple of games under and really struggling for their playoff lives, so it's going to be a huge game.
I know the Revs are none too pleased with the Steamers kind of coming in and taking over some of that territory, but they'll be back in Cadillac-style black tonight because, believe it or not, Mike, it's now been exactly 2 years since Leonard Butler Sr.'s passing, and it's crazy that this game would fall on that anniversary. And so I know that Louisiana's missing Leonard today, and they won 14-6, celebrating Leonard against Vancouver on a Monday night a couple of weeks back, and so we'll see what they have in the tank tonight.
Yeah, it's really marking a sad occasion in the SFL and for the Louisiana Revolution tonight. But we know they're going to come out with a lot of fire in their bellies and looking to pull off another win in honor of Leonard Butler.
Hey, it was a crazy week this week in the SFL, and how could we not get started with the two-time defending champion Florida Storm in Carolina to take on the Carolina Skyhawks. And who are these Skyhawks? Matt South to Chris Curtis, 90 seconds into the game. Are you kidding me? 7-0 Carolina, but Ron Cochran and Caleb Giffis would strike back. Very next possession, Florida ties the game up at 7, and you're thinking, okay, they'll be fine. Florida up 10-7 late in the first, and Matt South with a clean pocket. Wow, Vince DeSantis over the middle takes that away from Daniel Wright, gets Carolina in scoring position. Then the handoff to Riley Quintero breaks away through 2 tackles, and the Skyhawks take the lead 14-10. Early in the second quarter. 3rd and goal. Bullet Boletsky not going to get there. Mike Ryan cuts him down. That keeps Carolina's lead intact. And then Matt South deep down the field. Oh my, Vince DeSantis got away from Daniel Wright again and eventually tackled. Who are these Skyhawks, Mike?
Yeah, these Skyhawks came to play in this game, Cam. This probably was one of the biggest games that they were going to play in a long time, and they came out fired up and ready to go.
Look at South, 11-yard scramble gets the first down, then flips it out to Quintero. He scores. 21-13 just before the end of the first half, and you're thinking at home, okay, now it's going to be okay for Florida. They always find a way. 2 plays later, 90 seconds to go in the second quarter, they're about to put together a scoring drive. No, Mike Ryan takes it away. Intercepted, and Carolina's in scoring position. 1:25 to go. You're thinking, okay, well, Florida's going to come up with some big play here. Carolina is going to fumble away this opportunity, perhaps. That's just, par for the course. No, not on this night. Matt South in the pocket with 3 receivers, fires to the end zone, and he's got Chris Curtis over Ryan Davidson for the touchdown. 28-13. Skyhawk fans are loving it. Cannot believe how great their team is playing in the first half. On third down here, the 10th third down conversion, a brilliant pass from Ron Cochran to set up first and goal. They score to the next play, 28-20. Fourth quarter, Matt South still dialing it up. Christian Bachagalupi down inside the 20-yard line, and Florida is in serious trouble now in the fourth quarter. Down 28-20, and Carolina in scoring position. Second down and goal, 7:23 to go in the ball game. They hand it off one more time. Arish Prasad scores. 35-20 at that point. Carolina is up 15, and the fans at this point are beside themselves. Fourth down and 6. Florida's last shot from the 6-yard line to make this a potential 7th win of the season. It's picked off by TD Jack. He sacrifices himself, and that's how it ends. 35-20. Carolina tops Florida. Your initial reaction, Mike, to this game was what?
This is not hyperbole, Cam. This is probably the biggest win in Carolina's Skyhawk history, considering who the opponent was. This team's, that's trying to keep their playoff hopes alive and staying above, at above 500. It was just a huge win, and they came through, extremely well in this game. That the combination of Quintero and Prasad out of the backfield, they remained consistent. But the biggest performance of the night was from Matt South. He was, wasn't huge numbers as far as passing, completion, and attempts, but he was efficient, put up over 270 yards passing. They kept the pocket clean for him, and he just sat back there and made plays, and it was huge.
Big difference in the game for me, I think, as you talked about, South, was the way that Carolina adjusted their passing attack. They had to do something. They knew they weren't just going to be able to run all over Florida in this game. They had to come up with something. Florida came out with an aggressive game plan, and Carolina said, look, we'll throw it down the field. We'll throw 25, 30 yards down the field and give our guys some 50-50 looks, and boy, did they deliver. That was an incredibly bold strategy by the Skyhawks, and now it's got them at 4-3. Now the division is a little bit tighter. We'll get to more in the East in a little bit, but man, some great matchups coming up in that division, and it's going to be a heck of a division race. Let's check on the other team that was unbeaten coming into the week. That was the Arizona Scorpions, wearing some beautiful Death Valley uniforms, and early on they were down 3-0 to Atlanta. But that touchdown to Hank Earl Troll gave them a 7-3 advantage. Then Ashley Jackson finds TJ Punk in the back of the end zone, 14-3. Arizona just before the half. Bryant Dynasty, he'll throw to anybody. He strikes back just before the halftime whistle, makes it 14-10. Very competitive game as Atlanta, with a 4-3 record, trying to pull an upset on the road. Now 17-10 late in the third quarter. Bryant Dynasty hasn't thrown a pick in 10 quarters. Well, that ended right there. Albert Begin with the interception, getting Arizona some pretty decent field position and kept Arizona's lead intact. Ashley Jackson now protecting a 7-point advantage. She is interceptionless, and she would stay that way. Firing across the field to Will Todd. That's a difficult pass.
Yeah, that's a difficult pass, Cam. As you mentioned, Ashley, no interceptions, but she's really been sharp over the past few weeks.
Look at TJ Punk down the sideline, getting all the way down to the 2-yard line, and then, throw it to the guy that got you here. Ashley Jackson gets her third touchdown pass of the day. She stayed interceptionless throughout the game. She finds Will Todd right here at the bottom of the formation, just runs a fade route to the back of the end zone, wide open for the score, 24-10. Arizona, no quit in Atlanta, though. Bryant Dynasty gets his boys down the field, and Dynasty fires to Boo Chisholm for the touchdown, 24-17. With 4 minutes to go, they went onside kick, failed to recover. Then Arizona tacked on a field goal, and then Bo Martin Jr. shut the door, 27-17. Arizona gets the win over Atlanta improves to 7-0, and Ashley Jackson caught up with Bo Martin Jr. in the first segment of this week's PGI.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with one of, if not the best cornerback in the SFL, playing for the Arizona Scorpions, coming off a big win, another big win, which now leads the team to be 7-0. What is going on, Bo?
What's going on, AJ? How you doing? It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, man, doing fantastic, man. And it's a pleasure to have you as well. Love seeing new faces on PGI, people that don't usually come on and stuff like that. So I love that.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, so what are your thoughts on Arizona's record right now? I mean, I don't think anybody really saw that coming in the locker room or even in the league.
Well, I'm a beg to differ with you on that one. You got to remember, I come from a team where this is not my first time seeing 7-0, so I know what 7-0 looks like, right? So, when we decided to make the decision to move over to AZ from ACA, we kind of knew what we were bringing over with us. And so, you've got some of the greatest minds in the SFL on this team now. You take what was already a wonderful, wonderful team, and then you add some additional pieces to it. And 7-0, 7-0 doesn't seem that far-fetched when you know what you're working with. And we know what we're working with. So don't get me wrong, I don't take 7-0 for granted. I don't think we've had any blowout wins. If we did, maybe one or two, but for the most part, all of the teams we've played have played us really tough. So we don't take any victories for granted. And it's just a pleasure to be where we are. I'm of the mindset though that we play every game. We start every game at 0-0 because at the end of the day, the records mean nothing. It doesn't matter if we're 7-0 if we lose whoever we're playing. So at the end of the day, it's about getting that dub. And I'm not really, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of undefeated because it puts a lot of pressure on the team. It becomes this huge letdown if and when you lose. I feel like I would rather go into the playoffs at 11-1 than 12-0, because I always have this memory of what happened to New England when they were 18-0 and made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and then the New York Giants beat them. And that undefeated season meant absolutely nothing. But then you think about the teams that make the wild card game and barely get in and go on to win a Super Bowl, and it means everything to them. And people remember them more than they do the failed undefeated season. So, don't get me wrong, it's cool being 7-0, but I just want to get a ring. So I don't care if we race into the playoffs or if we limp on one good leg into the playoffs, as long as we get in there.
I totally get that, man. Made a lot of great points there. One more question as far as your cornerback is concerned.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important skill for a cornerback to develop? And how have you worked on that skill specifically?
For me, I think that a very important, I mean, there's the obvious skills that you want to progress, that you want to work on, like your coverage skills and but I think strength is very underrated at at the cornerback position. A lot of times by the time these players get to us in the cornerback position, sometimes we're the last line of defense between them and the end zone, unless I got a free safety, who's shadowing me. A lot of times it's us and they're gone. So, if you got a beast of a wide receiver like a Yayo Montana, who is just strong as an ox, or if you got like a TJ Punk coming at you, you're going to need some strength because those guys, and not to mention running backs, right? If you got a running back that can break into that second line, that third line of defense, and if you don't have strength, they're going to blow right by you. They're going to make you look silly. You're going to get talked about by the announcers. You're going to wake up looking at your ear hole, like John Madden used to say, and you're going to wonder what happened and how that player, you looked up and somebody's literally running into the end zone. So you need to develop your strength. I think that's pretty underrated. And so that's probably what I would say, to work on.
Good stuff, Bo. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you again soon and see what you can do on the field for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here, and we got a big game ahead of us after the bye week. We got Denver coming up, and I'm excited to see what the new coaches can do. It wouldn't surprise me if Jeremy Vega tries to come back and make a surprise coaching appearance to get this dub, because who better to take us down, than somebody unexpected like Jeremy Vega. So, Jeremy, I got my eye on you, buddy.
Indeed. Indeed. Thanks, Bo.
All right.
All right. Back to you in the booth.
Thank you, Ashley. And back to the highlights. Nashville in Denver. That pass is caught from switch thumper to Jeff Bamfield. And early on in this game, it was a total rout. Denver could not get anything going. That pass goes right to Tanner Hendricks. He spins away from a couple of big boys running down the field, and Nashville's up 17-0 in the first quarter. They were up 20-0 at the half. This game was a total wash, but right at the end of the third quarter, Gene Struthers trying to get something to going for Denver in a 20-3 ball game, and a pass interference penalty got Denver down to the 2-yard line. The Nightwings would score 2 plays later, make it 20-10, and then this happened, Mike. Fumble forced by John Martin. Lucas DeVore picks it up. He wasn't touched. He gets all the way to the end zone and scores, and we got a 3-point game just like that, and Nashville's sweating.
Yeah, Cam, this game actually turned late in the first half on a goal line stand that forced a field goal, and then it pretty much was all Denver after that point. Once it was 20-0, and then now you see the big fumble recovery and touchdown, and now Denver's threatening to win this game.
And the presence of mind of Lucas DeVore to get up and recover that fumble. Jared Cumbus actually set a block that helped spring DeVore for the score. So now 7:06 to go in the fourth quarter. Switch Thumper's got to answer, and boy, did Thumper deliver. Banfield in one-on-one coverage. He's gone. Nashville goes up by 10. An explosive play for the tempo to shut the door, 27-17, and then John Martin comes out of nowhere with 4 minutes left to get Denver back in the game. 17 solo tackles, a forced fumble, an interception. Then Logan Keel gets down to the 1-yard line trying to make sure that John Martin's memorable performance did not go in vain. Gene Struthers on 3rd and goal after a sack, caught by Logan Keel, and then Chris Stock is hurt. So now Denver's only down by 3. Nashville is reeling it almost like all over again, Mike. 27-24. Denver gets the stop. 3rd down and 9. They have a chance to win the game here, and that pass is intercepted, and Nashville holds on 27-24 over the Denver Nightwings. One of the best games of the week, and even I wanted to turn it off at halftime, Mike. Denver was horrible in the first half, and they were awesome in the second half. You want to go Nashville or Denver to start?
Yeah, and I knew you were going to ask me that, and which one was probably more impressive. But let's start with Denver, because this was the type of game, as you mentioned, that probably most people that didn't have a rooting interest in this game shut this game off at halftime and said, "Hey, it's probably over." But that was an incredible bounce back performance to say, "Hey, man, we are still in this game. Anything can happen," and they proved that. They fought hard, and basically interception away there at the end from possibly coming back and tying or winning this game and sending it into overtime and possibly getting a win. But let's talk about Nashville as well. This team has been incredible all season long, and particularly on the defensive side of the ball. We saw Tanner Hendricks, the former London Knight, come through with a huge pick six. I really enjoy seeing the former Knights. As you see by the flag back there in the back, I love seeing the former London Knights making plays still in this league, and I know a lot of those guys probably still wish the franchise was still around to perform for. But it's good to see guys like Tanner Hendricks still around making huge plays, and this defense has been lights out all season. That was really one of the surprising things to see Denver score 24 points, but of course we know a couple of those were off turnovers. But now, Nashville, the true expansion team, find themselves 5-2 and fighting for a possible bye or even a first, a top seed in the playoff race.
And with Florida's loss, fighting for a division crown. Now, the bad thing is for Nashville, they've already lost to Florida, but the Storm are 6-1. Nashville's 5-2. Charleston and Carolina are both 4-3. Carolina has the head-to-head over Florida. And remember, Florida plays Canton next week. And that could easily be a lot. They are on the road in Canton. And then to start week 10, back from most teams having a bye, it's Nashville and Charleston getting flexed into the Friday night spot. So we'll get to see those two Eastern Conference foes duke it out in prime time. So a lot of big things happening for Nashville and the rest of the East Division. All right, let's from a more offensive game in Nashville, Denver, to a more defensive game in Vancouver, where Lexington had an early 4th and short attempt 3 minutes into the game. It's stuffed by Michael Rury, and then on Vancouver's next possession, how often do you see this, Mike? They're going for it on 4th and inches 4 minutes into the game on their opening possession. And Vancouver tried a little bit something different here. They go play action on 4th and short, and they're looking for someone to get open. There's nobody on that side of the field. A broken play there. Mike Mello comes away with a sack, and both teams end up going empty-handed on 4th and shorts early. But Phoenix Jones finally gets us into the end zone late in the second quarter. A 7-6 ball game now. The Miners ahead. This was Vancouver's best opportunity at points in the second half. That pass is picked off by Nate Heslip halfway through the third quarter. 10-6 Lexington still, and then Gabriel Manning, when they needed him the most again, Mike, comes away in the clutch.
Gabriel Manning, Cam, has this uncanny ability of making big plays in the return game, season in, season out, game in, game out. He's always a threat when you're going to play against a Gabriel Manning team.
And that was it. Lexington wins. They beat Vancouver 17-6. And Mike, I want to start with Vancouver first because, I mean, talk about a bipolar offense. They're either scoring nothing, basically, or they're scoring 50 burgers, 40 points. I mean, it's just like every week is just so different with this team. One week, Christian Brown is lighting the world on fire. Another week, he's completing 40% of his passes. I just can't put my finger on what is going on in Vancouver right now, but they better pick it up the second half of the season, or they're going to be sitting at home in the postseason.
It's pretty unusual to see a Vancouver team struggle, in particular doing through the air. We know they've lost Kendra Wells. Doesn't look like she's going to be back this season unless something changes that we don't know of. But that is not good to lose a receiver of that caliber midway through the season. But let's put it on the running game. They're non-existent right now. I would like to. They have capable running backs. We don't see a lot of that running game. Nakai and Ike McBride. Where is the consistency in the run game to help out this passing game to create some openings? They obviously have Brett Killian that's still out there, but we just, like as you mentioned, we haven't seen anything consistent enough on the passing game or the running game from this team as to why they are struggling and putting up points on the board. And then we see another loss with them scoring less than double digits.
I think it's really crucial for them because one of the common denominators in their losses is when Ike McBride and Pseudo Nakai combine for less than 10 carries. I mean, when they're a balanced team, they're a force to be reckoned with, but when it's all on Christian Brown, it's tough sledding for them, especially without Kendra Wells, who's been out for the majority of the season. So they're a little bit thinner than they might have expected in that area, and yeah, it's really hurting them. Lexington finally goes into their first bye. They get through this 8-week gauntlet, 4-4. They have 4 games left with 3 bye weeks, Mike. So they have a lot of time to prepare for opponents down the stretch, clean things up, potentially make a playoff run. And that Central is still very much winnable. Minnesota is playing well, but not well enough necessarily to pull away from the pack so far. All right, back to the highlights. Let's go to Los Angeles now, where the LA Lycans 1-5 were hosting the Indianapolis Ramblers 3-3, looking to get to 500 and make a statement, but it wasn't their night to make a statement. Darius Iniguez gets into the end zone for the touchdown, and then Sully Richardson fires to the end zone to Chris Lee for the score. 14-0, just like that for Los Angeles. Now, Indianapolis would strike back after Chris Lee strikes a pose. Johnny Pickler gets outside. He scores the touchdown, makes it 14-7. But LA's offense just never quit. Chris Lee again in the back of the end zone for the score, 21-7 LA. And then Elsie Pryor from Sully Richardson. And what a great block down the field by the tight end. If LA could do this every week, I mean, they'd be one of the best teams in the league because this offense has some firepower.
Yeah, this was really kind of surprising that they had a breakout offensive game the way that they did, especially against this great Ramblers defense.
But they're up 21, 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and this is when things started to get really dicey. Suron Yates recovers the fumble forced by Adam Wiseman, and all of a sudden, for the first time really in this game, Indianapolis has a little bit of life. You can see Wiseman's huge hit there as Yates quickly there to recover the loose ball on the field. Indianapolis has terrific field position at the LA 23-yard line on second and goal. A few plays later, the handoff goes to Charlie Baker. He's in the end zone, 28-14. Indianapolis down by just 2 scores. Now it's up to Los Angeles to manage their lead. You can see Darius Iniguez at that time, 122 rushing yards in this game, a career high. Sully throws a pick to Anthony Wyo. Look at the great blocking down the field. He's gone, Mike. It's a 7-point game.
Hey, I'm another former London Knight with a huge play, but Anthony Wyo's played with about 35 teams in this league, but he did have a couple of seasons in London. Another huge play from Wyo. He's one of the highest paid safeties and defensive backs in this league, coming through with a huge play for Indianapolis when they needed it most.
So 5 minutes left. Can LA stop the bleeding? Handoff on a third down. Jalen Wells with a vicious stiff arm on Wiseman. He's ushered out of bounds, but a clutch run there from Los Angeles. Here's another 3rd and 5. Jalen Wells right up the gut, gets the first down, and Los Angeles would close the door 38-21, in fact, as they poured it on. They got a pick six late, and things started to collapse for Indianapolis. So Los Angeles, they finally hold on to a big lead in the first half. They played a complete game offensively, rushing and passing. Both were clicking. And the breakout game for Darius Iniguez, he had not had a 100-yard rushing game in his SFL career, and he got to 150. I mean, this guy was outstanding in this game, and I think they may have found something. They inserted him to the starting lineup, and it gave the team a jolt.
Yeah, 38 yards was his previous career high, Cam,
That's
and
crazy.
he came through huge in this game, 153 yards and a touchdown. And a touchdown. And Jalen Wells also over 100 yards. LA, they did it great in the passing game in the first half, built up a lead. Obviously, the turnover right there kind of allowed Indianapolis to get back into the game a little bit, but they closed it out fantastically with a combination of this run game between Wells and Iniguez, and ran out the clock and came through with a huge victory. And as you mentioned, a complete game. And now maybe LA has found something going into this huge bye week that maybe they can build on for the rest of the way.
Now, we get it. LA played a great game, but they're still 2-5, and Indianapolis has lost now to LA and Motor City this year and fall to 3-4. It really is kind of inexplicable, Mike, how they and it's not that they've just lost. They gave up 40 to Motor City, 38 to LA. Sometimes this defense may be too aggressive for their own good.
Yeah, it's kind of a head scratcher right now, what's going on in India. We did see them play a great defensive game against Nashville a few weeks ago, but then ever since then, the defense just hasn't had an answer for a couple of teams, as you mentioned, Motor City and then now LA. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board more than anyone that's going to be on this bye week next week, and look at some things and maybe see some things that they can do differently. Obviously, the talent is there on the defensive side of the ball, but maybe they're not putting the right people in the right places, and they're coming up goose eggs, so to speak, on the defensive side.
Well, outside of team owner Rochelle Colston, no one is happier about the Los Angeles victory than their coach, Sully Richardson. Ashley Jackson caught up with him on our second segment this week of PGI.
All right, and we're back with PGI, where I am joined with a great friend of mine, Mr. Sully Richardson, head coach, quarterback of the Los Angeles Vikings, that is coming off of a fantastic win I mean, 30 putting up 38 points over Indy to 21. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Um, it's good to be on the second time of the season actually winning something. So,
Yeah.
it sucks to be on the losing side or whatnot. But it was good to come out with a victory. So I'm real, real, real good.
After the interception, 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you guys are already up like 28 points. Then it was like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. There's an interception. Then it was 6 minutes and something left. There was another pick. There was a pick six from Indy. So I want to
Mhm.
know, like, what was going through your mind at that time that you saw this? Like, we're up, and now we're seeing this change, this shift in momentum. Like, what were you going through?
Um, like I don't know. Like usually because there was a pattern so far this season where like we do something good like in the first half or whatnot, and then everything goes to hell in the second half. And so, but this game, like honest to God, it felt different. Like it really felt different and whatnot because like I had speaking with my co-owner or Rochelle, like when we were watching the game and whatnot, I was like, hey man, like we felt like if we could score like one more time, we'd be okay. And when Mike Scott had got the pick six, I was like, kiss the baby. That's a wrap, man. So I was happy. I was happy. Like it just felt different. It genuinely felt different because usually like I'm ranting and raving and cussing and stuff like that. But this time like it just felt like really just really different about the offense and the defense. So I had a lot more faith in the game plan than how everything usually played out the previous games.
It definitely showed in the performances specifically of like Chris Lee and Darius Iniguez. Even Elsie Pryor and Jalen Wells got in on it. So, you guys seem like a different team out there, more focused, more driven. So you did what you had to do at the end of the day, to get this win. Next up, after everyone's bye week, for week 9. Week 10, you got Mexico City coming up. Quickly, what do you think you
Mhm.
guys are going to have to focus on for Mexico City that red hot right now?
Man, we gotta limit the big plays. Like that's the thing. Like
Yes.
I believe our defense can I believe in our defense. I believe we can make some things happen. They've been doing things all this season and whatnot. The ultimate thing is will or the ultimate question is will the offense step up, limit mistakes, and capitalize on what the defense if the defense makes turnovers or whatnot, we gotta turn those into points. And if we get into the red zone, we gotta get it into the end zone. It's like simple. So we'll be trying to work on that, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a really good game and whatnot. But one game at a time. Putting this game with Indy behind us and just focusing on Mexico City now.
Awesome, man. Well, like you said, time will tell. I do wish you guys the best of luck for the rest of the season. See if you can go ahead and get back into that playoff mention. Hopefully, it's not too late. Um, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do and how well your offense continues to move forward.
All right, back to the highlights. Fort Worth of Houston. Thank you, Ashley, for the interviews around the league this week. Once again, Jay-Z Bacon in the second quarter is cooking. 7-3 Fort Worth takes the lead over Houston. This game was full of long drives and efficient offenses. Josh Slapp gets into the end zone to put Houston back on top, 13-10 late in the third quarter. Fort Worth would respond. Dunhill dumps it off. Steven Hacker gets down the sideline near the end zone. Got it down to about the 1 for the first down. Now with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Fort Worth difference on the scoreboard with a field goal and a touchdown is the lead or a tie. It's the lead for Bacon, 17-13. Mike, at this point, a turnoverless football game until O.J. Bruin fires that to Adam Leach. That was a killer.
Yeah, it definitely was, Cam. Probably about midway through the third quarter, this game had the feel of whoever blinked first would probably lose, and that was the first blink.
And then Bruin again down the stretch, picked off by E.K. Vincent. Houston's has a lot of things going for it this season, but dead last in turnover differential, and it's not even close. Minus 12, I think it is, through the first half of this season as E.K. Vincent pulls that down and takes care of business for the Toros. The Toros snap a 3-game losing streak, and I want to start there, Mike, because Fort Worth, in some ways, was kind of trying to save their season. They had played poorly offensively, especially in the passing game with Marcus Dunhill. He settled down. He didn't have a tremendous game in this one, but he settled into his role in this game and delivered for the Toros to help them get a big win, along with that great defense they have over there.
Yeah, this was actually a huge game for both teams, but as you mentioned, Fort Worth, they were coming off of three losses, 3 big losses, and they made some adjustments. They decided to put Steven Hacker coming out of the backfield. He had a couple of rushes, and he was really, as we saw in the highlight there, he was really great coming out of the backfield. It was tough for the Houston linebackers to match up with, and he made some huge plays to keep drives going for Fort Worth, and the Headhunters had a hard time adjusting to what they were doing.
Houston's defense is great. They only held Fort Worth to 20 points, but they've only forced 4 turnovers, Mike. I think that's been a huge part of your season, is that the offense is, they're having to work with 75, 70-yard fields pretty much every time, because you really haven't had a lot of easy field position throughout the season. Like I said, the defense has been great, just not forcing turnovers, and a lot of pressure is on O.J. Bruin and the rest of your offense right now.
Yeah, the defense they've really been lights out for us, down for down type thing, as you mentioned. But one of the things and the other thing that we struggled with as well in this game was getting pressure on the quarterback, and that was pretty much expected coming in. Marcus Dunhill had only been sacked 3 times all season long, so we knew that was going to be a challenge. But you put as much pressure on him as you can, but you also need to get some turnovers to make a difference and shorten the field for your offense. The offense has done a great job for pretty much 3.5 quarters. Long drives, long double-digit play drives, 5-minute long drives, and were typically last night coming through and with points and or touchdowns. And but just unfortunately a couple of turnovers on the last couple of drives, and the game went the other way.
Good news for Houston. You only be down 2 games in the division. You still have Mexico City, the leader, on your schedule. That's a Monday night game in a few weeks. And then, Fort Worth is just a game ahead. Louisiana and Bossier City are currently trailing. But right in the thick of it, the South is anybody's game here so far. All right, we got one more highlight for you. Let's get to, let's see. We've had a pretty error-free show. That's been pretty good. Let's get to Charleston and Albuquerque as Michael Knight gets into the end zone for the Adams to make it 7-0 Albuquerque. And then late in the first, Cyrus Jive is still cooking. Greg Corky, probably their most important acquisition in their inaugural SFL season, it feels like. He scores 14-0. Then Doug Spelling from Mexico City gets free and gets Charleston into scoring position after trailing 14-0 early in this ball game. And these points right here, Mike, are the first points that Albuquerque surrendered defensively at home. That touchdown right there was the first touchdown they have surrendered at home. Late in the game, 4th down, almost fooled Albuquerque with a shovel down the middle, but ultimately Charleston was not fooled, and Albuquerque wins a kind of methodical game, 14-12, a lot of defense in that one. Charleston really put the clamps down on Albuquerque after the first quarter, but just couldn't get enough offense. Had some offense, just couldn't get enough offense against the Adams to pull out the victory. And now Albuquerque is 3-0 at home. They carry a 3-4 record into the break, and they continue to be kind of an enigma for me, Mike. They showed me a little bit more in this big victory over Charleston, but they could have easily ended up botching that game and slipping to 2-5 instead.
Albuquerque jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead in this game, and you were thinking they were going to be off to the races, and then all of a sudden that stopped, and the Charleston defense finally showed up, and you were thinking that, hey man, that they're chipping away. Albuquerque didn't score again after that Greg Corky touchdown. You were just thinking, hey, they're just going to run out of gas, and Charleston are going to take advantage of it. But kudos to these guys. They stepped up when they needed to step up, and the last call from Charleston, that was a bit of a head scratch for me at the time. They needed I want to say 9 yards. They got 8. It almost worked, but that was a questionable call at that particular point in the game. Your fourth down draw play of shovel pass at that particular time was kind of questionable to me. I would have liked to have given myself more of a shot than that, but they did a great job trying to come back, but they give Albuquerque a lot of credit of holding them off once the offense stopped producing points.
Yeah, Charleston at 4-3 has had a couple of really frustrating losses over the last few weeks, and they're right there. They are still a very talented team, but Albuquerque gets a huge win at home and improves to 3-4. Let's run through some blowouts that we saw, the majority of them coming at the beginning of the week. Let's start with Baltimore at Queen City on Friday night. Baltimore looked like they were in a totally different league than the Corsairs, who are now winless. They're minus 132 in point differential, en route to be minus 200 or worse. It's hard to see a win on their schedule. They are trying, but Baltimore, they were a whole nother league against the Corsairs on Friday.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to be blunt in saying this. They are in a whole nother league when we're talking about Baltimore compared to Queen City at this point. And it's just kind of mind-boggling or sad to say that, two great franchises, they both won 4+ championships in this league, but Baltimore, they're ascending, and Queen City, they're kind of stuck in the mud right now, trying to figure things out. And Baltimore just keep rolling. So a blowout in that situation at this point, and where both franchises stand, is no surprise to anybody in the league.
Mexico City and DC go on the road. They blank their opponents, zeros, goose eggs on the board, which is pretty difficult to do in any game, let alone on the road. DC beats Pittsburgh 21-0. Mexico City beats Chicago 20-0. Which one was more impressive to you?
Probably the DC game, because if nothing else, Pittsburgh, they have been pretty good on offense. In particular, Connor Weston has been pretty difficult to stop, even though I think he did have another pretty good statistical game the other night. But that's probably the more impressive in shutting those guys out. But that DC defense, we know they're pretty good. They're always going to be tough to score points on, gain yards on for any particular team. But DC is probably more impressive because they're starting to turn things around, get more players involved on the offensive side, and that win was huge for them, and keeping their head above water in that East Division.
I'm going to go the other way with Mexico City. They had a drive in the third quarter. It was 10 plays. It was all runs, and they scored a touchdown. They in many of their games just impose their will on their opponents, but unlike maybe like a Canton last season, Mexico City still has, a pretty dynamic passing game. They're number 1 in the league in yards per attempt. So they push the ball down the field when they need to, but then they also can grind you out as well. They are 5-2. Their only 2 losses are a 10-7 loss to Canton and a 13-9 loss to Arizona. Both of those teams are towards the top of the league. So Mexico City looking pretty strong. Minnesota pummeled Motor City, and the crazy thing about this game, Mike, was that it was 7-7, and Motor City recovered a fumble late or middle of the second quarter, and then they went 3 and out after that with 0 yards and punted it away. And the game was never the same after that. And Minnesota just took the top off of Motor City and really put them behind the 8 ball. It really did feel like kind of a missed opportunity for the V8s in a very compact Central Division to pull off a big upset, similar to Carolina doing it against Florida, but Motor City just couldn't get it done on the road.
We see a lot of these games, Cam, that have momentum switches. You see a goal line stand, you see an interception, you see a turnover, and in this particular game, you see a 3 and out, and then the momentum switches, and it never comes back to that team again. But that is not the team that you want to have a huge momentum switch again. But Minnesota, they're one of the more talented rosters in all of the SFL, and then once they get rolling, they're extremely hard to stop. Have 2 horses in the backfield. That receiving core is fantastic, and then you got a well-balanced defense to go along with that, and they continue to add to the Motor City struggles, so to speak, and now is that what Motor City we're going to see week in and week out. We thought they'd kind of turned things around with the 40-point performance against Indianapolis, and then I want to say a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember the opponent, they were back into the single digits, and then I think the week after they did pretty well, and then we're back to the single digits again. I mean, even though Minnesota, as I mentioned, is a great and tough opponent, we just need to see consistency from that Motor City V8 team.
The more things change, the more they stay the same right now in Detroit. All right, Mike St. Green, your spectaculars from Week 8. What you got?
Okay, let's start with a spectacular uniform, Cam. Who wore it best? And it's surprising to me because they wore it worst a couple of weeks ago. I needed to watch the game with my Eclipse blocking sunglasses or whatever.
Oh, yeah, Monday night. Yeah, those were bright.
But, man, they turned it around, and they surprised me. And the Arizona Scorpions was spectacular, and they wore it best this past weekend at all orange with the kind of 2 different shades of orange. They were great looking this week, and they looked great. They played great, and they came through with a huge win. But then, far as on the field performance, Cam, Jalen Wells and Darius Enriquez, they did great in the backfield for LA. Also, got to give a spectacular shout out to Matt South with a great, efficient performance against the 2-time defending champs. But the spectacular player of the week, I'm going to give that to Tanner Hendricks. I think he set the tone for that game with the pick 6 that he had for Nashville in the game against, and I am drawing a blank on the opponent that they had, but he put them off to a great start. Huge pick 6 to put those. It was Denver that they played. Yeah. Great pick 6 in that game, and Tanner Hendricks, a spectacular performance of the week, getting his team rolling with that huge pick 6.
Well, and I'll give an honorable mention to John Martin too from that Denver game. He put his team on his back there in the second half defensively. He was everywhere, shutting down their run game, forcing that offense off the field, forcing turnovers, making things happen for Denver. But you're absolutely right, Mike. Tanner Hendricks, that pick 6, him being in the right spot, and really that entire Nashville secondary totally shut down Gene Struthers in that Denver passing game all day, and they made that game a total nightmare for Denver's offense at home. Denver almost pulled it off, but Nashville gets the win and gets to 5-2. All right, so that was our spectaculars, and now we turn our focus to Bossier City and Louisiana, where we've got Ron Haynes and Haynes Vision returning tonight, and we start with the Bossier City Steamers. This team is an interesting team, Mike. They're some of the Alamo City of old from last season, which was a playoff team. Ace Fenix's numbers are good. He's one of the top passers in the SFL and can really take the top off of a defense at any given moment, and Vin Callia is their star of that.
Yeah, Vin Callia, as they're saying in the chat, another former London Knight. Hey, you gotta love it, Cam. He's one of the best receivers in this league, and there he is performing again with a huge touchdown catch for Bossier City.
Callia, 5 touchdowns, 539 yards this season. He, along with Connor Weston, leads the league in yards per game. B. Robo, another one of those old artillery weapons. He can get free as well and make things happen for this Steamer offense.
Yeah, B Robo has been great for a long time in this league, and he's coming to his own, and he makes huge plays game in and game out.
That's a big look at their passing game. Their run game has struggled a little bit this season. Hunter McWaffle's got to get going tonight in this big game. You know Louisiana's going to run the ball well. Hunter's got to get going.
As you see there, only 43 yards rushing per game, only rushing for 62 yards a game as a team. That's going to be huge if they want to get a victory tonight, Cam.
Bob Funk in this game, 21 tackles versus the Dragons, 51 tackles in total this season. He's one of those guys, a Doug Day, right, John Martin, that can be a total defensive difference maker for the Steamers.
Yeah, we're going to have to see a lot of that tonight. This is going to be a tough, low-scoring game, and this defense on both sides are going to step up.
Bogey Barr, another instrumental piece on this defense. 32 tackles, 6 TFLs is the key with Barr. As he lives in opponents' backfields. Freddie Trammell on the opposite side at linebacker has made a number of tremendous plays. Look, Bossier City's aggressive on the outside. He's got 7 TFLs, and Louisiana with that Chris Grant Jr., Dwayne Salmon's run game, they got to be careful that they don't end up in a lot of second and third and long situations because of those TFLs on the outside.
Yeah, Bossier City, they're aggressive. They can get after you on the defensive side, and if they can put Louisiana in some third and long type situations, they can really make a difference in getting them off the field and getting them in good field position situations.
All right, let's take a look at Louisiana's key impact players in tonight's game. Of course, you start with the quarterback Tommy Utah, who is slowly improving as the season has gone along. Just 4 touchdown passes, but I'm feeling like he's having a little bit of a resurgence in this offense. He does have some more weapons like Kingston Ellington this season to make things happen.
Yeah, and you're 100% right, Cam. Louisiana, they've done a great job of balancing out this offense, and Tommy Utah has been great the last few weeks, and none other than Kingston Ellington is helping him out in that situation.
238 yards and a touchdown for Ellington, but he is getting better. This is another highlight from their close matchup against Florida. Ziggy Ronick making catches in traffic and getting Louisiana into the red zone. This is a very balanced receiving core. They don't have like one guy that can take over a game, Mike, but they're hard to prepare for because they do have so many weapons. It all starts in the backfield with Dwayne Salmons.
It definitely does, Cam, but you took the words right out of my mouth as far as balanced. They're balanced in the receiving core, but they're balanced overall on this offense, and Salmons is a huge reason for that.
There's a look at Salmon's numbers, 76 rushing yards a game. That's top 5 in the SFL coming into the week. Just 1 touchdown, but Salmon's is definitely the catalyst on their offense. Let's shift to their defense. Gary Clem in the backfield, one of the best, just as we saw with Bossier City's linebackers, one of the best at sniffing out runs. He's going to be enemy number 1 for Hunter McWaffle tonight.
Yeah, you saw a huge play right there, Cam, filling the hole, hurdling a potential blocker right there coming in and stuffing the run.
How about Slyn Shady on the outside? This dude's got to be like 65 years old, Mike, and he just keeps playing at a high level. He is he's kind of the leader of this team. They go as he goes, and his 8 TFLs lead the team.
Yeah, Slyn Shady's been around forever, Cam, and he's keep doing exactly what he's been doing. Just, easy river. Just keep rolling down the river down there. Maybe rolling down the bayou is better for him.
Chuck Diesel's their 3rd linebacker. Look, this game's going to be 1 in the trenches and 1 up front tonight. Louisiana's secondary, a lot of pressure on them as well, even though not mentioned in the video, because they're going to have to make sure that they keep Kalia and Robo in front of them. But they have been terrific this week, this season, along with the rest of the Revolution defense. We're coming down on the final 2 minutes of our show ahead of Bossier City in Louisiana, and that takes us to Mike St. Green's pick this evening. You're 3-3. This is a tough one, Mike. This is going to be a real close game. You going with the more explosive Steamers or the more maybe consistent Revolution? What you got?
And thank you, Nashville, for getting me back to 500 last week. But this is, Cam, I've been back and forth with this one. This is probably, as you mentioned, the toughest pick on the Monday Night Spectacular. I've kind of waited. Bossier City, they are having trouble actually putting points on the board. They've only scored 20 points were over 14, which it was a 20-point game only once this season. So points are going to be tough to come by. Louisiana not super explosive as well. But Louisiana, they're the more balanced team offensively, and we know they're going to bring it defensively. And they're at home. And they have a lot to play for today in honoring Leonard Butler. So by the slightest of margins, I'm going to go Louisiana. How about 13-10?
Ooh, wow, that's a low scoring nail biter there, and it's gonna be a fun one tonight. Charles Doherty and I will be on the call in a matter of minutes. Mike, thank you so much for being here. Enjoy your week off next week as we get ready for Louisiana and Canton. And Mike Daggs and Gerald Smith will be along next Monday night in our place to go over the season in sort of a mid-season review and get us set for the second half, the back half of the regular season, and then the postseason to come. So, Mike, enjoy it. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks for being here.
No problem, Cam. You and Charles have a great call. See you in a couple of weeks. I'll be sun-splashed from this cruise. And, hey, since I'm thinking the wrong way, go London.
What is with you tonight? Hey, man. Hey, rep what you got, and it's good to see. It's good to see the history staying alive in the SFL. That's all for us. Bossier City, Louisiana comes your way next, right here on SFL YouTube.